If you guys haven't seen this movie, you might want to fast forward a little bit, but we're going to talk about some shit about this movie.
Yeah.
That's just going to blow your mind. So, spoiler alert, here we go. So, Kevin Spacey's role in this film was kept secret for so long. He's uncredited. It's similar to Matt Damon with Interstellar, where you didn't even know he was in the movie, and he wasn't even advertised in the film. And obviously, Kevin Spacey plays John Doe, the killer. And what I love about the script and what Fincher did directing is you don't see the killer for what, halfway through the movie, like an hour and a half in?
More than that.
It's got to be an hour and 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
I should have checked the timestamp, but you don't see his face for so long, but you see his actions and you see what he's done.
Yeah.
And you see his hands in the opening credits and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, so many movies and shows, as they're showing you the detective storyline, they'll be showing you the killer storyline. And so this is unique in where it keeps that mystery and builds that mystery up until we're just dying to see who this killer is. Who is this person?
Yeah, you don't even get interaction with him until he gets caught by Mills and Somerset, and then the chase ensues.
Yeah.
Speaking of the chase, so during the chase scene where Somerset and Mills are chasing down John Doe,
which I think it's one of my favorite foot chases.
Yeah.
Like that and Point Break, absolutely fantastic foot chases in film history.
Yeah. Before they break down the door, in the movie, this is where John Doe injures Mills and breaks his arm.
Yeah.
And this wasn't originally in the script. What happened was they were filming this chase scene, and Brad Pitt literally broke his arm by sliding and breaking his arm against a windshield, I think, of a car. And they had to put a cast on him, so they had to alter the script and some dialogue to have Brad Pitt's character Mills were cast throughout the film. And since this was early into production, a lot of scenes he has a broken arm when he's not supposed to have a hurt arm yet, so he has to hide his arm throughout the scenes and stuff like that, like behind his body and stuff. So might be able to catch it.
There are a couple shots where you can see his arm, but he's got the sleeve rolled down, but you can see it's thicker because it's bulky because of the cast underneath it.
It was a very serious injury. It was a laceration that went down to his bone.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was pretty bad. But so he wasn't supposed to have a broken arm throughout the film.
But that chase scene's incredible because it starts out with them at the door, and then John Doe starts firing at them, and then with Howard Shore's music, all the brass and horns going crazy, and then there's that incredible chase through the apartment complex outside, and there's that tracking shot where Brad just jumps across like outside on those like dumpsters and those bins. And then it leads outside into the street, and they're running across the city street. And then it leads to the alleyway where Brad Pitt knows he's there, but we don't know where he is. And there's this dump truck sitting in the alleyway. And this is where John Doe, surprisingly, he physically incapacitates Brad Pitt by hitting him with like a tire iron. And then he holds a gun to his head, and then we think he's going to kill him. And he must want to kill him, but for some reason he decides to spare Mills, and then he runs off.
Yeah, but he's sparing Mills for a reason.
Because as we're understanding, John Doe has an incredibly intricate plan laid out that he has been working on for years, and keeping Brad Pitt alive is part of that plan.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. And some people say this movie is too gory for them and too violent, but again, Fincher doesn't show the kills. He doesn't show any of the violence. Again, the only violence you really see is the very last scene of the movie, and then when Mills gets hit with the tire iron.
A lot of what you see are just photographs of the killings,
which Fincher does such a great job making just as disturbing as if you were watching violence on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, for example, with the prostitute killing, we have the scene in the interrogation room where the other victim, the man, he's just hyperventilating, telling them the story, and we don't know what happened, but we can tell whatever happened has caused this person to have an insane panic attack, and he's shaking, and we want to know what happens, and then at the end of the scene we just get a quick shot, a photograph of the event, and it's so disturbing.
Not even the event,
there's just the item,
the tool that was made for him to wear to penetrate the escort.
Yeah, so we don't even actually see the act, but just from the building up the tension with that guy's story and the way he behaves to that photo of the instrument, that's all we need, and it's probably more horrific just using our imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The investigation's going pretty poorly.
I mean, even though they get access to his apartment, they're not close to finding him.
Yeah, exactly, because we're beginning to understand how brilliant this killer is, and he's so prepared even for an unexpected surprise like them knocking on his door, that they still aren't even one step closer to catching him. So the entire investigation, they've just been trailing him the entire time with absolutely no clues to who he could be. And then Just out of nowhere, John Doe shows up at the police station and turns himself in. And it's that disturbing image where Kevin Spacey's just covered in blood and his fingers are bandaged because he sliced off his fingerprints, and he's screaming at the detectives, "Detectives!" What an amazing moment in the movie. So shocking too. And then this leads to the climactic ending.
John Doe says that he has more bodies and he wants to take them to him. And there's this actually great scene where they're with their captain. I think it's a captain, and they're discussing whether they should do it or not.
With John Doe's lawyer.
And it's this great setup where, can you explain the filmmaking behind it, where he changes the shots, or Fincher does multiple shots with one take? So he sets it up and it's like a wide shot, then moves to a medium shot, and then comes back and does like a side shot.
The way Fincher uses the camera work in this movie is he based upon the conversations and the power exchanges going on in the conversation. One character will start in power, and then it'll change to another character being in power in the situation. And so he cuts to these different shots that in the camera changes to show on a visual level, and we're subconsciously interpreting how the power dynamic is changing throughout the conversation.
Yeah, and this is super apparent in that dialogue scene between the detectives and their captain to see if they're going to let the detectives take John Doe to find more bodies of victims. And so obviously this is a lie that John Doe has created so that he can fulfill his plan.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's fulfilled 6 of his 7 deadly sins. He still has 1 remaining. The last one left is wrath. John Doe takes the detectives to this middle of the wasteland in the middle of some random state, and there's a van coming down the road, so Somerset has to go and flag down this van to try to stop, see who it is in case it's a surprise attack.
And there's a helicopter surveilling the situation.
So then Brad Pitt's character Mills is left alone with John Doe, and this is where we finally see the fulfillment of John Doe's plan, where his plan all along was to have Mills become his final deadly sin, murder, which is wrath. So instead of him committing wrath himself, he becomes the sacrifice for wrath's deadly sin. And he has already committed the sin of envy by killing Mills' wife.
And he was envious of Brad Pitt's normal life.
So
because he could never have a normal life.
And this is where we get the famous line, "What's in the box?
What's in the box?"
What's in the box?
So what happens is, as Morgan Freeman goes, he stops the truck driver, and we end up seeing it's a delivery man. This guy says he got paid $500 to drop this package off at this exact time at this exact location. So Somerset sets him away, and then he's looking at the box, and after a few minutes of hesitation, he opens it. We don't see what's in the box, but Morgan Freeman's reaction is terrifying. He jumps back in disbelief, and then right away he understands what's happening, and then immediately he tries to stop Mills from doing anything. So he starts running back to Mills and John Doe.
And this is such a powerful scene because this is an amazing performance by Brad Pitt, because Mills is this arrogant guy who, again, wants to catch this guy. He wants to stop him.
Yeah.
And then he has to deal with the struggle.
And also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
It's okay.
this entire time, and especially when they're talking in the police cruiser heading to this location, Mills thinks that John Doe is full of shit and he's just crazy. And he has absolutely no fear that anything could happen.
And he basically gets confirmation from Somerset that Gwyneth Paltrow's head, Tracy's head, is in the box. And so then you're dealt with this. You have to watch Brad Pitt's character Mills deal with this internal struggle of whether or not he's going to kill John Doe. And the problem with killing John Doe is if he kills John Doe, he helps him fulfill his 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And what John Doe wants is to be revered and remembered and studied forever.
Yeah.
He says it multiple times, "What I've done will be remembered and studied for decades and for years."
Yeah.
And if you don't kill John Doe, he loses because he doesn't get to carry out his 7 deadly sins. He doesn't complete it, and he never gets studied besides being a douchebag serial killer.
Movie of the week.
Yeah, basically. But if he fulfills his 7 deadly sins, then he'll live on forever. And so if Brad Pitt's character Mills kills John Doe, he completes the 7 deadly sins. So that's why Morgan Freeman tells him if you kill him, he wins.
Yeah.
But Brad Pitt's character Mills can't help himself, and there's no way he's not going to kill John Doe for what he did to his wife.
And there's this amazing shot of Brad Pitt just trying. He's weighing the options, and he's trying. He doesn't want to kill him, but he has to. And then David Fincher throws in, because Brad Pitt seems to be like he's gonna stand down, but then Fincher throws in a really quick cut of Gwyneth Paltrow's face. So it's like you can imagine, you see Brad Pitt basically imagining his wife's face, and then once that cut happens, he throws his gun up and just unloads on John Doe.
Yeah, it's a very emotional ending, and it's an insane twist. And when I was the thing about this ending, it wasn't the preferred ending by the studio. So Fincher took this job because he got an accidental alternate ending script, which had the box in it. The real ending that the studio wanted to do was it would be a race against time to save Tracy's life.
So dumb.
Which would have been terrible.
Yeah.
And then there's also another version where Somerset kills John Doe instead of Mills, which, yes, it's an honorable ending because that way it saves Mills' life and he still has a life to live. But in this way, it's better because the killer wins, and it's pretty freaking nuts.
It's unbelievable, and the ending is so shocking, and the studio didn't want that ending even with Brad Pitt signed on. And so what happened was Brad Pitt told him he wouldn't be in the movie if they changed the ending.
That's why I love Brad Pitt, man.
He's like, I'll only do this movie if that's the ending in it.
It's great.
Yeah.
And then the final thing we hear on this film, the final line of dialogue is Somerset saying, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional line.
So he's changed his perspective on the world and still thinks that he has work he can do to help improve the society. And then the opposite happened to Brad Pitt, where he was this idealistic, up and coming, like energized youth, like young detective who's going to make a difference. And then the evil of the world just completely destroyed him. So they kind of changed their perspectives on the world. Actually, completely change into the opposite direction for both of them.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's fantastic. If you've never seen it, watch it.
Yeah,
it's probably the best serial killer movie ever made.
It's easily one of my favorite David Fincher movies, and he's made some great movies.
It's up there. And it's one of my favorite Brad Pitt performances. The acting in this movie is phenomenal.
Morgan Freeman's great in it too.
Everyone's so good in this movie.
Yeah.